Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the April 19th Smackdown review. I'm going to sound a little bit like Howard Cosell. Now, was this show a good show? Hell no. In fact, I was actually pissed off at several things that was done in this show. I was angry. But there were a couple of things that was good. And I'm going to get the things that made me angry out first. One, the champion versus champion match. Why was it done on SmackDown? Why? Couldn't it be done on Raw? Particularly the thing that I hope would not happen, happened. Now, if anyone doesn't watch Wednesday Night Main Event, and I don't usually watch it, it's very rare for me to watch it. There was supposed to be a battle royal to pick the number one and that's one of my cats, sorry. To pick the number one contender for Wade Barrett's championship. Now, I thought the way they were talking on Raw, that Wade Barrett would be doing this on a Raw in the UK. No. This was actually done on Wednesday Night Main Event. The person who won was a Justin Gabriel. Are you seriously kidding me? Yes, I know Justin Gabriel has not been seen on Raw in a very long time. He's rarely seen on SmackDown at all. But this should have been promoted on a Raw. A Justin Gabriel and a Wade Barrett, yes, there is no feud there. This is a battle royal giving something. It would have been something for the UK crowd that would probably cheer for it. But they decide to do this on a Wednesday Night Main Event. What the fuck are they thinking? I don't know what the hell they're doing with Wade. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. They jobbed Wade out at WrestleMania pre-show. Then they let him win the title back the next day. Then they let him win against Santino. Then they let him job against R-Truth. Now, instead of giving him a battle royal, a person that has been in a battle royal as a number one contender on the A show, so the people in the UK would be interested in one of their own, they throw it on their D or C show in a Wednesday Night Main Event, and we don't get to see it. What do we get to see? A champion versus champion in Tennessee, which, if they're not willing to do the number one contender match that is supposed to should be on a SmackDown. That number one contender match should have been on a SmackDown. That would have given it more interest. Not a lot, but more. But no, they throw it on a Wednesday Night Main Event. So this champion versus champion, which should have been on a Raw the next week, going into the UK, no, they give it to us on the SmackDown. What is the mindset of the WWE? It's like they try to take 2 steps forward and they take 9 steps back. Some things during the show was actually quite interesting, but the rest made no damn sense. The match itself between Kofi and Wade, we've already seen it. And who jobs here? Wade. So what do we got? We have him jobbing at WrestleMania, that's one. We have him winning twice against a Miz and a Santino. He jobs against an R-Truth, and now he jobs against a Kofi Kingston. And I'm not taking anything away from Kofi. They let him get the US Championship against, which pisses me off even more, because they weren't even willing to present an Antonio Fazzaro having the championship for 240 days. Now again, they do it in passing, which is stupid. They should have did it while he was in that championship position. But now they give it to a Kofi. So they decide to give a Kofi a win. Why couldn't they give it against someone who's a jobber? Why did it have to be up against a champion who had a WrestleMania loss, a Raw win, another Raw win, another SmackDown loss, and now a SmackDown loss? If I even got that order correct, I'm sorry. If I don't have the order correct, tell me below of the order that Wade has won and jobbed. But as far as I understand, that is the order that it went by. No, wait, yeah, I think that might be the order, unless I'm wrong about R-Truth and Santino, because I think Santino was on SmackDown when he won it, and R-Truth was the one, no, As you can see, I'm getting confused about it because it's pissing me off. So I'm going to move on. Now, another thing I felt that was not right and should not been done was ADR versus the trucker, as I call him, Jack Swagger. I felt they shouldn't have rushed this. They just announced on this show that they're going to have a triple threat at Extreme Rules, which I did predict that it's going to be a Dolph Ziggler, a ADR, and a Jack Swagger, the trucker. The one with the grizzled beard, with his partner of 20 years riding down the road in a Zed Kota. I felt they didn't need to do this. Why couldn't you have a separate match with a Jack Swagger fighting against someone else? It could have been a Justin Gabriel. Even though he lost in Wednesday Night Main Event, put him on a SmackDown, let Jack Swagger win. Because if you want to make him an actual threat against Dolph or ADR, got to build him up. He's already jobbed a whole bunch of times. What has Jack won? He didn't win at WrestleMania. He didn't win after WrestleMania when he went after a ADR. And he was supposed... No, he didn't win against ADR at WrestleMania. He didn't win against Dolph Ziggler at Raw. Now he did not win against an ADR again on a SmackDown. And now they just announced a match that's going to be a triple threat between 3 guys. And one of them is jobbing his ass off when he actually had a good gimmick. Either they're punishing him because he smoked weed in his car and he got in trouble for it, or the WWE writing staff does not know what the fuck they're doing. This made no sense. It would have been better to keep these guys separated. Let ADR have his own time against someone. Let Jack Swagger, the trucker, have his time against someone. Let a Dolph Ziggler have video segments in the ring without any interference. I know people may say, you know what? Let him have people interfering because he's boring. Look, one of the reasons why he's boring is simple. He's stuck with a bad gimmick. We already know this. But the other thing is that he's not allowed to progress his mic skills. For a guy to get good on the mic, and he's not bad, but he's not great, he needs time to do his stick without any interference. He has to let the people really soak him in. And I believe that with a... Look, a Dolph Ziggler needs some time without interference to actually get himself over when he does a video segment. Everyone else is getting it, but him. I'm not a big Dolph Ziggler fan. I'm not. If they turn him heel, maybe I'll be more invested, but they haven't done it yet, so I don't see anything. I don't believe he's going to retain that title, and if he does retain that title, he better do a heel, go from a heel turn into a face turn, because this is going to be stupid. Because it's going to be no better than what happened with Daniel Bryan. In fact, that's what's going on. We have another Daniel Bryan run. It's just his name is now Dolph Ziggler. Now, the next thing that felt really not that great was the 6-man and woman mixed tag. The mixed tag of Primo Epico and Rosa Mendez. And I got something to say about her in a minute. And Natalya with Hornswoggle and the Great Khali. Showing in the early part of the show, well, not even early part of the show, before that match, they showed the reason why it was going on. Just because of a parking spot, they get a match? Are you serious? There was no actual conflict, there was no fighting, nothing. What the hell is this? This is such bad structuring. They just threw this shit together. Like they did with the Kofi and the Wade match. They threw that shit together. And they didn't even give it any hype. They didn't give it shit. Now, I'm sure you're saying you actually want to have a hype for a 6-mixed tag between guys and girls who are really not being pushed. No, I'm not saying I want that. I'm at least glad they at least showed the reason behind it. But like the Kofi and the Wade Barrett match was just thrown together because they have nothing for these guys to do. When they could have something for Kofi to do, and they could have something for Wade to do, they could have done something with these people a long time ago and they have nothing for them to do. I see on that 6-person tag only 2 people. For me personally, only 2 proper wrestlers on that team that are decently good. And that is Natalya and that is Primo. the reason I picked Primo instead of his brother, his cousin Epico, is because of Carlito. Carlito and Primo were very good together. And that's the reason why I say that Primo, and he's not a great mid-carder, but he's a good one. Epico looks like he's not bad, but he doesn't have the same caliber as his cousin. That's the reason why I picked him. And between Rosa and a Natalya, the one that has the most skill there is a Natalya. Who's more good looking? It's going to be Rosa. And I'm not saying Natalya is not bad looking. She is very good looking. But between the two, Rosa's much better looking than Natalya. And that brings me to the reason I said something about Rosa. Pure white. With tassels in the back, covering her ass. Are you serious? Are they trying to present her as a clean girl? I don't think that girl was clean, especially she did weed no different than Jack Swagger did, or something else entirely different. That girl ain't clean. That girl should not be wearing pure white, and it was all pure white. I think maybe there was a relative there, and she just wanted to look good for them. That is the reason why she wore it. Wore it. The one who won here is Great Khali over Epico. Really nothing there. Now, let me get on to the Teddy and Booker T segment. This makes me interested. This is actually something I'm quite interested in. It may not look like much right now with Teddy and Booker T, but it's actually something that could become good. Seeing a Big Show that comes in and thanks Teddy for getting a tag team match for revenge because he had a handicap match. Now he has a tag team match with a Mark Henry. Getting a fist pump from a Teddy Long makes me feel, who is the one Teddy may actually go and be a part of? Will he be with the great, the wonderful, the powerful Mark Henry? Smokey, 2013, boy, we're going to get it. We're going to see a Mark Henry in the world title scene. Or Big Show. I can't tell which one could actually be used to help promote a Teddy Long, because this is all that's going to happen. It makes no difference if it's Mark Henry, if it's a Big Show, if it's a Ryback, or anyone else. That person is going to be used to help to get a Teddy Long over so he could be feuding with a Booker T. And again, you see the conflict between each other, between a Booker T and a Teddy Long. I have no idea how this is going to end, but as I said before in my Raw review, it's not the point of how this ends. It counts on how far they're willing to push this near the end. Because this would have happened with a Eve Torres, but they dropped the shit. Either because she didn't want to be a part of it, or they just didn't give a fuck about her, and that's the main reason why she left. It makes no difference. But the counting of this is how far they're willing to really push this. How far they're willing to push the general manager and his assistant fighting one another. That's the question. Now, I'm going to get rid of the tag team match of Mark Henry and Big Show versus the All-Stars, I guess, of Sheamus and Orton. Now, before that fight happened, Sheamus finally got one up, at least one up by one, and basically speared a Mark Henry. They showed the reasons why he did it, because he got speared twice, a Sheamus by a Mark Henry, and Mark Henry finally said something that it gives a basic understanding of the Mark Henry character. It does. So it's at least good they did say this. And that woman, I don't know who she is, but she basically asked him, so why have you been attacking Sheamus? He says, because I can. Now with a Mark Henry, that does fit his character. That is what I do means also I can do whatever the fuck I want. And then the commentary team didn't really do a very good job of it, really putting Mark Henry over during the match, saying simply that he had a feud with Sheamus before. He had an attitude that he will do whatever he wants. I felt they could have hyped it a little bit more. They didn't really have to talk too much about a Big Show. The feud that's going to be interesting will be a Big Show and a Randy Orton. But I really feel like the Mark Henry and the Sheamus feud needed more traction than a Big Show and Orton. People want to see a Big Show and Orton get their fight on. They want it. So the match is a standard match. It's not really exquisite about it. Nothing great about it. It was just the same. But I was surprised to see the heels get over. The one I believed was going to win was not going to win. The one he's against was the one to win. So that makes me happy. I thought Orton was the one that was going to get the RKO on, more than likely, a Big Show. But it was the Big Show who did the choke slam on Randy Orton, which is great. Let the heels get heat. This is how the business is supposed to work anyway. Is it hyped up for Extreme Rules? Because they're going to have a match. No. There's no stipulation. There's no match announced. Nothing. We don't know if there's going to be a match. I believe there will be. There's going to be one probably for Sheamus, and there's going to be one for probably an Orton. Between their two complements of a... I just don't know how these things are going to be structured. That's what's upsetting me. It looks like they're beginning to really structure the Mark Henry and Sheamus match. It may actually get there before Extreme Rules. It looks like they may get something between Orton and Big Show going. But there's not much time left. And it just feels lacking a lot. So I'm very worried it's not going to be good if they do have these matches. Now, finally, the one I'm probably going to put in my title. The fandangoing of a Lilian. Hopefully I'll find how to pronounce her name properly. But the fandangoing of a Lilian was actually... We have been asking the WWE to give us something entirely different. And if people don't like the Fandango gimmick and character of a Johnny Curtis, I understand. It's clunky in some cases. It still feels very, very green. But like I said before, Johnny Curtis is reminding me of a very early Ric Flair who is really not even there yet. He's incredibly green. Even the great Ric Flair. I'm whining and dining, wheeling and dealing, flying my jet and sticking my Space Mountain up at any lady. Even he had his green moments back in the 70s. When I was a small little kid, he was green as fuck with everyone else when he went to Gagne's camp. Everyone is green at one point. And I know Johnny Curtis is not one of the greatest wrestlers and not one of the greatest characters. But at least they're giving us something entirely different. This is what we've been asking for. We asked for someone different, and now they're giving us someone different. This time, the Tennessee crowd was a little more hype than the North Carolina crowd, which was fucking dead. They weren't much better. The only way Fandango's going to get even more interest will be when they head to the UK, because the UK crowd with the Jersey and New York crowds were the ones who made that little part of his music so popular. It took the New York crowd, because there were New Yorkers there. The New Jersey crowd, were they there? They were there. They represented me, baby. The New York and New Jersey crowd, because I did grow up in Atlantic City, and I lived in New York my entire life. I can tell you, I'm glad they represented. Yeah! But the UK crowd really put it over. They were the ones who made it great. Now I'll be glad when the UK crowd is shown in Raw in the next SmackDown. I'll be so glad to see it. But he did his little bit with Jillian where I actually was quite interested in this to see what was going to happen. And then seeing the dip with Jillian, the shock of Jillian trying to do the twirl, the seeing of the face of Jillian up into the face of a Johnny Curtis. She's not a very good looking woman. She's still nice looking. Nothing wrong with her. She has a nice body. And that body just hit the ring floor, baby. I just went, oh shit. Okay, that was good. I was impressed that they were willing to go that far with a Jillian because she's never usually involved in stuff. She's not a great actress. She's not. But you know what? It was good to see it. I was so glad to see that. It gave more depth to the Fandango character. And then the Santino coming out doing what Santino does. He is a joker. He didn't do too badly and the crowd was into him. I do believe they had some canned heat in there because the Tennessee crowd was just a step up from the North Carolina crowd, but not by much. So a Fandango who did, and I believe I have to say this, I have to say the name. I came up with a name for it. That was the. Oh, what did I call it? Oh man. I think I called it. I was thinking of calling that move that he did, because I called his leg drop the flamingo leg drop. I'm gonna call this the Big Dipper. Yeah, baby. I know he's gonna call it something entirely different, but him giving a Santino like a forward dip, I'm calling it the Big Dipper. It's stupid, but it's funny, and it kind of fits right what's coming right now, because he dipped his ass into a win. That pretty much was the only thing I really liked about the show. Just that opening segment. The rest of the show, well, that and the continuing work of a Teddy and Booker T was not bad. This is a C+ show. This show fucking sucked. I should give it an F, because Wade did not have a match with a Justin Gabriel on a Raw, or a Wade with a Kofi Kingston on a Raw. It's got to be on a Smackdown. So that fucking pissed me off, and I should have given this an F. But I can't deny the Fandango segment, and I can't deny the Booker T segment. That's the reason why I'm giving it a mediocre C+. So I hope you enjoyed the Zane's View. Subscribe and comment to my channel, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really hoping that the UK crowd makes me feel so good inside, and so, I want to hear them just go, da-da, da-da, da-da. That's what I'm hoping for, and that's what I'm sure we're going to get. Have a good day, ladies and gentlemen.